Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers. We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together.
Just a quick note as we start this episode. When Shelly and I recorded it, we had tremendous technical difficulties, and I will apologize now for the quality of the audio and if you're watching the video, there's a lot of in and out due to lag in internet. Stick with it. I promise about minute 10, it gets a whole lot better. And I believe the discussion was very fruitful and worth sticking it out for. Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. Hi, Shelly.
Hey, Lisa.
Okay, so today we are both having internet issues. So we will see what happens. But it is what it is. We will find out how well this goes with our internet issues. I take it as this is going to be an amazing podcast episode.
I have to agree because you've already frozen once during your intro. So I'm just now picking it back up.
It's going to be amazing with all of the issues. Okay. So, Shelly, today we're going to talk about Lent.
Is it that time already?
It is. Well, for us, when we're recording this, it's not quite that time. But for when this comes out, it is that time. Yes, we are. It's Lent. And I don't know about you, but all of my ads for the last few weeks have been like social media ads, web ads, have all been like a hack for Lent. Like
a hack for Lent.
Like buy our package and your Lent will be amazing.
No, I have to tell you, mine is for, and I apologize if the person who runs this is listening, I didn't look too closely. It's all about joining some organization to get rid of the clutter in my life.
Yes,
which is appropriate.
And it's very good. I'm overwhelmed at all of the ads that are coming at me for how to have a perfect Lent, how to do it right. And
there is no one way to do Lent right except to prepare ourselves, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's kind
begin
of the
with the end in mind.
That's the theme of the podcast. Like, do Lent the way God is calling you specifically to do Lent. That's it. We can be done now.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
That's the hack. That's the only thing you need to know.
But I thought we had to fast, and I thought we have to pray, and I think we have to give alms, and isn't that those pillars of Lent that we have to do all these things?
Yes and no, right? The 3 pillars of Lent are obviously fasting, almsgiving, and prayer. Those are the things that we are, I would say, called to do generically for Lent, but how you actually live Lent, how you incorporate those into your life are very unique.
Yeah. So I was going through a few old writings and a few old things before we started, because you said, hey, Shelly, we're going to talk about Lent today. Go get ready. I'll give you 20 minutes. And then I came across something that I really liked, and I'm going to throw it out there for you. It was that this Lent, it's not about changing our routine. So it's not about adding things in or taking things away specifically. It's about changing our focus.
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we say, oh, we're going to fast, we're going to pray, we're going to give, are we focusing on us and what we are doing? Or are we focusing on God?
I like that a lot. You reminded me of something I read that I actually wrote, but I read it today. And it says, Lent is our opportunity to focus intensely on God's love, to focus on our relationship with Him, and to dedicate or rededicate our lives to His only Son. And at the end of our 40-day retreat, we are given the best reward, new life in Jesus Christ on Easter.
It's beautiful.
I read that this morning and I thought, that's it. That is what we're doing. And did you notice that that word retreat was in there?
If I say no, are you going to get mad because you kind of blipped right there? Someone must have blipped on the retreat.
No,
It's terrible. No,
no.
but I will say that you said something in your prayer before we got on the call
Mhm.
that I really, really liked, and it kind of fits with what you're saying. And that was, you said, the promise of Lent.
Ooh.
And that really struck me. I know it's funny, the things that when you're just extemporaneously praying out loud,
Mhm.
something comes up that means something to the other person. But that
Yes.
the promise of Lent, the promise that no matter, it's kind of like reconciliation. No matter what we've done, no matter what we're going through, no matter where we are in our life,
Mhm.
we are walking with God. And he gives us that opportunity to walk with him in the wilderness,
Mhm.
to go through all of that with him, and then have the promise of not just Lent, but what comes after.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think that's the key, is that we're preparing to have an encounter during Holy Week and specifically on Easter morning. Like, how you, what is going to change you? What is going to make you have a better relationship with Jesus Christ?
Hmm.
What is it?
Yeah.
And I know I have non-Catholic friends who always say, like, why do you need Lent to grow closer to Christ? You should be doing it every day, this and that. And I'm like, yes, I agree. All the things. I should be that person
Hmm.
every single day growing
And I
closer to
should be
Christ.
cleaning my house every single week.
But I'm human and I fall and sometimes I get distracted. And so to me, the church in its wisdom has set up these seasons to help us refocus, to like remind us of the importance of what's coming. And Easter is the biggest, most important day in the calendar. So Lent points us to that.
Right. And just like I say though, it's about refocusing. And what are all those things that we do? We pray, we fast, we give. But why do we do these?
Mm-hmm.
And it's to open our eyes, to open our ears, to open our mind. Again, back to God. So everything that we do, it's just that way of recentering it. And I
Yes.
liked what you said though about the encounter with God, because that brings it back to what you were saying before about retreat. Because what
Mm-hmm.
is the purpose
Mm-hmm.
of a retreat? To retreat away from the world, to go in and pray, to experience God
Mm-hmm.
in a different way than you do out in the world. So that when
Exactly.
you come back, it's not that you return to all your old ways, it's that you bring something that you had on that encounter with you into the world. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
we all know over time it kind of starts to fade, but just like the transfiguration, Lord, let
Mm-hmm.
us build a tent here and worship you always and never leave. And he's like, yeah, that's not how it works. You got to go back in the world.
Yeah. And I love it's been a few years since I thought about Lent as a retreat, but Lent is our spiritual retreat to repent from sin, to repair our relationship with Christ, and to open ourselves more fully to God.
I have a quote for you, and you have to
Okay.
bear with me. I got to read it, but I found it in something. It actually was in a Magnificat 2 or 3 years ago, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
written it down in a journal. And it's about our reconnecting with God, reconnecting, right? And it was written by servant of God, Catherine de Weck Doherty. I know nothing about her. Don't ask me. It's the name that was in my book. But this is what she wrote. Okay, these are not my words. She wrote, Lent is a time of going very deeply into ourselves, if really straightening the ways of the Lord, of really straightening the ways of the Lord. What is it that we have to tear out of our soul by the roots because it
Mm.
stands between, or what stands between us and God? So meanwhile, let things drop. Let things drop, Lisa. Let things drop.
Oh my
For
gosh.
every time you drop anything pertaining to the wrong type of self fulfillment or to the adoration of yourself or to all the things that clutter up your life, a sense of immense joy will come to you and through you. So let go of the old to enter the new. Lent enhances it and makes you think. It concentrates you, it brings you into the heart of God. And then I love this. Just imagine this. Like St. John, putting our head on the bosom of Christ and hearing the heartbeats of God, you change. I was like, oh my God.
That's okay. There's so much. I have not heard this
There's so
quote
much
before,
to
and there's so
unpack,
much
right?
to unpack. Yes. One, I love the joy. Let's see, like experience the joy and let it flow through you. You
I
know
knew
me.
you
I love
would.
that word. I love the experience. And also at the very beginning, you said, like, what is between you and God? You
Yeah.
have to yank it out or pull it out by the root.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh,
I knew
like that.
you'd like that. I saw it
Yeah,
and I was like,
I
oh,
very much like that.
yeah. So I will send that to you.
Um,
It's just my handwriting, but I will send it to you.
Okay,
I'll see if
good.
I
I
can
need
find the
that.
original
I think
source.
I need to like print that and put it, where I can see it this Lent. That would be good as a reminder.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to go so long because there's just some really good thoughts.
And we're back.
We're back.
I don't know how this is going to end up in the recording, but we just had technical issues and we just took like a 10-minute break to fix them, hopefully fix them. It's a little prayer. Yeah. And point, I know we left off talking about that wonderful quote you had, Shelly,
Mhm.
and how we were going to pull distractions out by the root.
That's it.
I just feel that we've had this great discussion on what the purpose of Lent is, right?
Mhm.
And I know that there are a few people that are like, yeah, I know that. I get it. I don't know how to do it. Maybe we should just talk about our past experiences versus how we're approaching Lent this year. Not to tell people what to do at all, but just like examples. Because there's so much out there. So maybe it's just helpful if we could just kind of talk about how we approach it. So
Yeah.
you want to
Well,
jump in?
sure. You know, we've written about this for the last 16 years. I mean, there's examples all
True.
over the place of,
True.
and I love to see that because it shows us kind of our ebb and our flow, right?
Right.
When we've kept
Right.
it simple and when we've been like, all gung ho, we're gonna do the things. I think of that when I think of our give 440 instead of give up. And it's the same way of approaching pray fast give, but the idea is instead of giving up, we're also using it as an opportunity to give forward to God.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that in the past, but there have been years that we've kept it simple, and there have been years that we've approached it all gung ho. And I'm trying to think. I think I can count on one hand the number of years I've made it through, Friday fasting and Friday no meat without messing up. But
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's the key is acknowledging that every year looks a little different. And you're not perfect and we're going to
No,
screw up. And sometimes you don't even know what's going to be thrown at you in Lent. And so you plan one thing for Lent and then it completely changes on you. And
yeah,
maybe that's okay. It's all okay.
yeah.
I
God
think.
knows your heart, and
Yeah.
He knows your intentions, and He knows that life is going to throw you a curveball. And really, it's how we respond and react, like anything else in life. If something goes wrong, do we throw up our hands and wail and scream and say, "Oh my gosh, I screwed up. Now my Lent is ruined"? Or do you find yourself like taking a deep breath and being like, "Okay, just like life, I have an opportunity to do it over. I have an
Hmm.
opportunity to restart. I'm not
Hmm.
so far off the path that I can't come back to God. I'm still walking toward Him."
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I always say, as much as I am a to-do list girl, Lent is not about doing or not doing. It's not what it's about. Um, there's not a checklist. You don't have to make a plan. It's really just a journey. So, keeping that in mind, and I always think you prepare. Just prepare first. And that doesn't mean you have to make a huge list, but just maybe you do. Okay, let me rephrase that. Maybe you do because I'm speaking to myself for a minute. I need a list. I
I was
do.
about
That
to
is
say that.
me.
I was like, Don't tell me you don't have a list.
I think those years that I try to like go with the flow and be all relaxed and whatever God is calling me, those kind of years, um, haven't been my most, um,
Successful? Fruitful?
fruitful is a better word. Yes. Like, when we enter Holy Week or we enter the Triduum or, approach Easter, the resurrection, it's not like, oh my gosh, I feel so much. I don't feel like I've really grown that year. But there's some years that I feel maybe that's just what I needed to do. And that's fine. This year, I have spent some time in prayer about this and journaling through it. I've told you that my be still and know era is kind of ending for me. And not that I don't still be silent and still for God, but I feel that God is calling me to tackle Lent, that I'm going to be active. These are my things. This is what I'm doing. Make the list, tell the family, hold me accountable. This is what I'm doing. Not that I won't screw up and forget and whatever, but I really feel that's how God is calling me this year. And I'm not advocating everyone else do that, but I know my personality and I know how God is speaking to me right now.
Yeah, I know your personality too, and I have a question for you.
Okay.
How, pray tell, will you be responding to your family when they call you out on holding you accountable?
It probably won't be, printable. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you.
I will probably push back. I'll be like, what? No, I'm totally,
But you know what,
oops.
Lisa? Maybe, just maybe, that's another opportunity that God is giving you
Exactly.
to take a breath and be like, okay, wait, no, okay.
You're right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Will you please forgive me? I will try to sin no more.
Yeah, but you're right though. But that's a part of my Lent is the opportunity to say, okay, when they
hold you accountable.
I'm saying hold me accountable. And when they do, that I'm supposed to bite my tongue and be very humble about it and be like, you're right. You're right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. I asked for it. I appreciate you. Yes. And saying thank you. And that's important.
Well, it occurs to me, I brought this up, I think, earlier before the technical difficulties, so hopefully it's in there.
Yeah.
I brought this up before that, Lent is, what is Lent? What are these 40 days, right? Jesus went into the desert where he was tempted. So why should we think that we're not also going to be tempted?
Exactly.
If we're going into our Lenten desert and we're trying to do things that keep our eyes on God and our focus on God, not the world distracting us, throwing, mud pies at us, etc. Kids, laundry, schedules, control. We know we're going to be tempted. Anytime we go out into the desert with Jesus, we know we're going to be tempted. When we plan retreats, Lisa, we're tempted because the devil hates the result. He hates us having that encounter with God. There's nothing, as St. Philip Neri, there's nothing the devil hates so much as prayer. I think it's the quote. I'll have to look at it. But so why would we think we're not going to be?
Yeah.
And so what are your temptations that come during that? And think about that.
Yeah. I very much think about that. And I can look back at years past and know what things have worked for me, what things are really hard. And this year, I do feel like I'm being called to jump back into a few hard things. Okay. Earlier when I said I had some loosey-goosey years, and I shouldn't say it like that. I had years where life was hard. I was going through really hard things. And I think my Lent those years, I didn't choose hard Lenten things because life was hard. And that's okay. Like, I don't think God was calling me to like stress out about my Lenten fasts, because I was going through stuff and I needed to focus on that.
Yeah. So have you chosen something you're willing to say out loud that you would like to engage in to focus?
If I do that, then y'all are going to hold me accountable. Like, that's a much bigger accountability than just my family.
Well, that's why I didn't ask for all the things. I said one thing that you're willing to share.
I'm trying to decide what I want to share. What do I want to be?
Crack me up.
What do I want to be held accountable for? Let's see. Wowzers. Okay. So there's one big one I want to say, but I don't really want to say, because if I say it, then I'm
You have to
really
do
going to
it.
be, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. And
Well, now you got me curious. You can't drop that
I
and say
feel,
and not say it. Go ahead.
I feel like it's a really hard one. So should I say it? Should I just
Yes.
throw it out there? Because
Yes.
I think our listeners will understand if I don't.
Lisa, you were always
If
the one telling me to be real and authentic on the podcast. So you cannot drop a thing and then not do it. So you've got to tell
Okay.
us, you've got to be real and authentic.
Okay. I'm going to be
Big
real and
sister
authentic.
telling you what to do.
Like, that's a stretch. No.
I know.
Okay.
Like that's ever worked before.
Yeah, I know. So, okay. So in our episode, we talked about Lent a few times on the podcast last year. So last year, episode 38, it was called Rethinking Social Media for Lent. And I have for years advocated using social media during Lent as a
positive,
like being Christ light.
being the light.
Yeah, being the light on social media. I have really struggled with that the last a few years, to be honest. And I have talked about it and I have reshared my articles, but I have really not been living it because of my own just problems I was having with social media and things like that. And I wasn't terribly forward and honest about it because it was hard. I mean, it is really hard to struggle with social media and to be unhappy with the way that you're using it. And I have felt that, and I've been really avoiding stuff. So I feel called this year, and here I am being really real. I feel called this year to live it this year, to make a plan and share positively on social. So I am going to make a plan this year to plan and share positive things. Hopefully every day. That is my idea. Whether it is a quote, a prayer, a scripture, a funny thing. Remember, like when I posted my cartwheel, I posted a video of a cartwheel that I did last year, and I posted that on social, and it was so funny. That is that is one of my big Lent things, and I am going to try it, and I am not necessarily going to be 100% successful. So I hope everyone will bear with me. A lot of it will be on my personal, but I will be doing some of it on Sound Mind and Spirit as well. So if you're not following us on social media, Sound Mind and Spirit, then go do it, because you can tell me, you can encourage me to keep going if it helps.
Yeah. I think you should make sure you post. You can post it on yourself, but push it over so that people can see it.
Yeah.
No, I like that idea. You said it was like big. I was thinking something else, but I recognize what that is for you.
Yeah.
So, the way you phrased it, the way you said it, the way you put it out there was really powerful. So I can appreciate that. So mine is a little different.
Okay.
I don't have a specific thing yet, but I know that this will be an awkward Lent for me, because you know this, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but my husband is having a medical procedure in about 3 weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm afraid to even think about it, and it will require a lot of patience, a lot of serving from me. I'm not the big nurturer in our family. He is. So he's the one that takes care of all of us when we're sick. I'm not necessarily very good at nursing and taking care of him, which he will say he doesn't need help. He thinks that he's going to come out of this procedure and be like going to the baseball game that same night. And I'm like, I don't think so, honey. You're going to have a pain block. I don't think that's going to work. So we're not talking about it. But he's not worried or anxious or nervous, and I am not worried or anxious about the procedure itself, but I am concerned about how I'm going to be able to take care of him at the house in the week or so that he's not 100% himself or mobile or able to drive. And so it's a big thing for me. So that's kind of where my prayers are directed, and to use this as it's not about me, it's about him. And now that I've said that, and he will hear this on Thursday, I'll let our listeners imagine the conversation. But
I think that's awesome. I think it's very real because it is, God's calling you. He's calling you to take care of your husband and to sacrifice and serve. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of prayer involved and a lot of challenging things throughout. I think it's beautiful.
Like telling you that I can't talk for an hour and a half today because I got to hang out.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
challenge.
Well, and you'll be doing 100% of the driving for at least a little while and feel pulled in different directions. See, this is where I was saying some years you don't choose a lot of external things for Lent because you're being called to serve in your actual life in a way that is a Lent.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. One of the things, how we live for Christ differs, for all of us. Like how we actually live as a disciple of Christ is different for each of us. And so that's how we observe Lent. It differs for all of us. So, and year to year, it will look different for you. Lent should leave its mark on us, just as Christ's sacrifice and God's love, leaves its mark on us.
I like that. Yeah.
So we just keep that in mind as we're choosing our Lenten observations, right? Our observations, observances.
Yes.
Like the word was right in my brain. Yeah. And then to just be honest with yourself. And I feel like that's important. Be honest about what is going to lead you closer to Christ on Easter.
So remember too that Lent is about leading us to the resurrection of God, right? And the promise that he gave us of reconnecting us from the original sin and back to God and that covenant that we have through him. But what comes right before? And that is Holy Week. And that is the Last Supper. And that is the crucifixion. And how the disciples must have felt on Holy Saturday with him gone, because he was dead. He did descend into hell and then come back. And so when we're thinking about all these things and all these things are happening, our eyes are on that resurrected Christ. I mean, I don't know about you, but mine are always like, Jesus is coming. Jesus is here. He's going to come back. But we have to go through Good Friday first.
Yes. And they didn't have the benefit we do of knowing what was going to come, not actually knowing. And if you want, dear listeners, we talked a lot about Holy Week and how we have experienced it. And I think the episode is 45. It is called Embracing Holy Week, a journey of faith and reflection. And so when we get closer to that, go listen to that one again, because I don't think we're going to do it again, but listen to it again. Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to episode 39, Friendly Inspiration for Lent. And that was last year, and we invited, I can't remember how many friends, I think it was like 7. To give us their opinions or experiences of how they observe Lent. And so that's a great episode to go back and listen to if you want just experience, other takes on it. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. It was fun hearing from so many different friends. So
and it was special to us that they were all willing to give us their time and send us the recording.
I know, it was so great.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, Shell, I feel like we should wrap this up because we've had so much trouble here. I feel like I think we've done good stuff. I think we should come to an end. What do you think?
Okay. I think that would be the prudent thing to do.
Yes, I do too. Especially, now like our audio is clearer, your video is clear. Like I'm still spinning, but your video is clear. It's crazy. We shouldn't.
I like that it's you having trouble this week and not me.
I know. I'm not happy. Okay, so our challenge for our dear listeners is to find something this Lent that will bring you closer to Christ in preparation for his resurrection.
Change your focus.
Yes. Stay
focused.
Rip it
out from the roots.
That's right. I love that. Grab it and remove it from the roots, what is distracting you from Christ.
Yep,
I love that.
I've lost the play. Oh, no, there it is. Yep. What stands between us and God? What is it that we have to tear out of our soul by the roots? That's one to take to adoration and reflect on, right? Oh my gosh.
I think we should. I think I will for sure. All right, Shelly. I appreciate this. I like that we pushed through. I don't know what it's going to end up like when I listen to it, but for now, I am happy that we did this, and I wish you really a blessed and fruitful Lent.
I wish you a very beautiful and blessed and fruitful Lent.
And that's what I wish for you, dear listener. Thank you for sticking with us this week, and let us know what your Lent looks like. And if you are still on social media for Lent, reach out. And if I am doing my daily posts, I hope that you will share and encourage me. Thank you.
All right. Anything else that we need to say?
No, I'm just waiting for it to pause again.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. All right. Thanks, Shelly. I will talk to you later.
All right. See y'all. Bye.